Disc 2. It happened that upcoming was a state visit to Canada, a treat that Norman was not down to share, preferring to go home for his holidays to Stockton-on-Tees. However, he made all the preparations beforehand, carefully packing a case of books that would see Her Majesty fully occupied from coast to farthest coast. The Canadians were not, as far as Norman knew, a bookish people, and the schedule was so tight that the chances of Her Majesty getting to browse in a bookshop were slim. She was looking forward to the trip, as much of the journey was by train, and she pictured herself in happy seclusion, whisked across the continent as she turned the pages of Pepys, whom she was reading for the first time. In fact, though, the tour, or at least the beginning of it, turned out to be disastrous. The Queen was bored, uncooperative, and glum, shortcomings all of which her equerries would readily have blamed on her reading, were it not for the fact that on this occasion she had no reading, the books Norman had carefully packed for her having unaccountably gone missing. Dispatched from Heathrow with the royal party, they turned up months later in Calgary, where they were made the focus of a nice, if rather eccentric, exhibition at the local library. In the meantime, though, Her Majesty had nothing to occupy her mind, and rather than focusing her attention on the job in hand, which had been Sir Kevin's intention in arranging for the book's misdirection in the first place, being at a loose end just made her bad-tempered and difficult. "Don't you want to look at the St. Lawrence Seaway?" said her husband. "I opened it 50 years ago. I don't suppose it's changed." Even the Rockies received only a perfunctory glance, and Niagara Falls was given a miss altogether. "I have seen it 3 times, and the Duke went alone." It happened, though, that at a reception for Canadian cultural notables, the Queen got talking to Alice Munro, and learning that she was a novelist and short story writer, requested one of her books, which she greatly enjoyed. Even better, it turned out there were many more where that came from, and which Miss Munro readily supplied. A postcard was immediately dispatched to Norman, telling him to get those few that were out of print from the library to await her return. Oh, what treats! But Norman was no longer there.